So, Carolyn, I'm going to tell you about something called the FIRE movement. Now, it's not what you think. It's not about actual fire, but it stands for the Financial Independence Retire Early Movement, which aims to push the retirement age to 40. So technically, I'd be...
I'm almost there.
I'm kicking back right now. Now, one of the ways we can achieve this is by saving half of our income. However, many of us may find this difficult since we need to live frugally, cut down any expenses and things of that sort.
So, of course, we want to know more about this, right? Therefore, right now, we have our two guests, which they're a social media platform in Singapore. They created this, focusing on raising public awareness regarding financial literacy. It's called the Woke Salaryman. Now, the FIRE movement is not initiated by them, but it's featured front and center in their platform. So, of course, I want to know more about them. They're brilliant minds behind it. Of course, they are two hardworking millennials, they're very fun also. From Singapore, Wei Choon Goh and Ming, founders of the Woke Salaryman. Good morning, guys.
Morning.
All the way from Singapore.
Hi, morning.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us.
Yes. So we want to really get to know about your platform itself. What we heard that you both have no background in economic studies. Now it seems that Wei Choon took animation, while Ming studied communication. So how does the initiation for the Woke Salaryman really arrives now and reborn?
Yeah, so I was actually working as like a young adult in advertising a couple of years back, and then I realized that financial literacy among my colleagues wasn't very good. I think mostly because we didn't study economics or even money in school. So I decided to hey, let's make it really, really simple for people like me to understand, people who not necessarily learn about money in school, but learn it only when they start adulting.
Right.
So that was the initial idea, and I think Wei Choon was perfect because he studied arts and he didn't know much about money as well. And then I think the Woke Salaryman kind of documents our whole journey and learnings along the way as we learn more and more about money, economics, risk and reward, business, savings and investments.
Okay, now guys, I am just past the ripe old age of 40, and that's immediately caught my eye about how someone can retire at 40. Now, when I grew up in Canada, I believe the retirement age at that time for my mother was 65.
Yeah.
This is quite a huge gap. Tell me about the FIRE movement, guys.
Sure. So the FIRE movement is all about saving really, really aggressively. Like you said earlier, 50 to 70% of your income. It's usually only limited to people who earn slightly more income than average, because otherwise it'd be really hard for the average person to save half or even 70% of the income.
Sure.
So the idea is to take all this savings and invest it in an asset class that to create an investment that gives you around to 4 to 5% returns. So the guideline is that if you save 25% of your annual income, you could possibly retire early.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think it's also important to caveat that the FIRE movement is not something we advocate for most people, because it is an extremely aggressive strategy.
Right.
Oftentimes to reach it, especially at a young age, which is kind of what FIRE movement is about. But it's a good marketing label because FIRE seems to suggest aggressive, hot, something that might burn you if you're not careful. So if you're young, I think assess it take it with a very objective lens and be careful about it, because to do it unsustainably might be even worse for you, because you might burn out, because it is a very aggressive thing to do.
My concern would be, yes, you can save very aggressively, but will you be how would your quality of life be in the meantime? Yes, you're earning slightly over average, but are you sacrificing too much? Will I be miserable? I will be happy later on, but what will the journey be like? That would be my concern.
Well, like minimalism right now, right? Yeah. It's really a hype thing right now, even for the younger generation.
Yeah. Sure. What do you think, guys?
Yeah, so I think that's very fair. So Paul, you shouldn't be too worried about the fact that you might be 40, because honestly, on my screen it doesn't look it. I don't know if it's the mask, but I guess you keep your health good and everything. So I wouldn't be too worried about the number of the age. It's also about keeping up your health and whatever.
That's true.
And health is particularly important, especially when it comes to sustainability, and not just physical health, but also mental health. And our friend Riming here went through the FIRE movement himself. And as a very close friend of his, we were friends for a long time before we started working together. I saw the impact that it could have on somebody. He was a bit more distracted, a bit more detached for quite a while. But I understood it because it was important to him. But again, it's not something that we recommend for the average salaryman.
True.
Only take it on if you make a very proper objective kind of plan to do it.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's also about determining what you want. I think right now I am single, I don't have children, so I think it's a lot easier for me to do like early retirement. However, I can imagine if someone has a family debt or they have kids to support, siblings to support, I think it will be far more difficult. So it's all about figuring out what are your priorities in life and then just pursuing it. So I think end of the day, like money is a tool, right? So we just use the tool to suit what we want to do. Yeah, our life goals.
And this can be actually a gateway to, let's say, retirement is retirement by definition, but after you retire from your job, you can start a business at 40 and you still have plenty of time to grow.
Doesn't mean like you're retiring for, you just lay low and whatnot, enjoying yourself in the yacht, but something that you can do, maybe enjoy yourself in the yacht and having a business and then do it on the yacht by yourself. That sounds really nice,
well,
right?
I'm glad that 40 is the new 30.
Exactly. But again, these kind of life is probably not for everyone. And if someone wants to start it, some people might think like, okay, this is how I do my financial, right? 50% of their income on daily needs, 20% for savings, and the rest for the entertainment. I mean, some needs it, some don't, But how do you do the FIRE movement itself? Like,
how would you break down the 50?
The percentage of the income that you get monthly?
Yeah. So when I was saving aggressively, I tried to save at least 50% of my salary, which I feel is like the bare minimum for FIRE. But then what I will do is like I will go and work an extra job after hours to bring in even more income. So that kind of increased. So that kind of increased my salary, but of course it wasn't like a pay rate sort of thing. Yeah. So if you do that, I think you will greatly accelerate the chances of you being able to retire early.
Yeah.
The trick here is not to focus on savings, but actually about increasing your income.
Okay.
So I will work like I think 9 to 5 on my day job, and then I will go back and work 8 to 2 a.m. on another job.
So back jobs.
Yeah.
Long days.
Yeah.
Right. And it's better that you do it when you're young, right?
Sorry?
It's better when you do it when you're young. I mean, you have the energy and whatnot.
Yes.
I mean, you have the skills and the talents. As opposed to going after 40, life is slowing down.
Hey.
I'm sorry, except for Paul here, But like again, normally, it starts from like 20 to like 40. That's where we engage ourselves, to at maximum pace.
Now, do you guys have a hard cap as to a number, like a goal that you set when you start this? Like, this is where I need to reach the by number financially by that age. Do you set that in the beginning, or how does that work?
For me, I have my own figure that I have not reached yet, but hopefully I can reach it in a few years. So for me, it is about 1.2 million Sing dollars, and that works out to be about $4,000 of passive income every month if I invested the whole $1.2 million. So how we calculate it is based on this thing called the 4% rule. And it's a very easy calculation, and it's not so much taken as a rule, but it's a general guideline to start. And it's a very simple calculation. So you take your expected expenditure for the year and you multiply it by 25. And that's how you kind of work with it. You can read up more about it by Googling the 4% rule. There's technicalities you must understand. But just for sake of convenience, that's how I worked out my figure. I worked out that I would want to have about $4,000 of passive income from my investments, and I multiplied that, the annual amount of that, which is $48,000 by 25 to get $1.2 million.
All right.
Wow, that would be nice to just let your money make money for you.
Yeah, we should have seen you guys. I mean, we should have known you guys.
Guys 20 years
when
ago?
I was like in 20 years, where have you been? Anyway, probably they're still in high school.
Saving and working hard, exactly.
And let's talk about the Woke Salaryman itself. We know it's an animation. We saw it in a couple of the videos that we just saw. It is very, very fun. It's easier for audience just like me. I'm more visual as a person as opposed to like reading. So it gets more easier for me to understand about financial literacy itself. So how long do the inspiration, how long does it take for you to finish, let's say, a project?
So actually the inspiration for the animated stuff, it came from, mostly it was adapted from existing comics and articles that we had already done. So the bulk of what we do is through the form of like online articles and online comics. And we choose to do that because we're a very small team, and to make animation is really difficult. So we actually got funding from the Singapore government a little bit to do that animated stuff. So it was really cool for us, but otherwise we would not have chosen to do that because it takes a lot of people to do it, and by keeping the team small and doing articles and comics, we make it so that we can exact our unique vision without having to compromise too much or having to oversee a large team, because two of us can pretty much do this by ourselves in a limited capacity, but if we're doing animation, it's possible.
Oh, it looks great, and it's very comprehensive as well. Now, apart from the FIRE movement, what other stuff is in your scope right now, the Woke Salaryman?
Well, so FIRE is one part of what we cover, but it's not the only thing. So we also try to cover things like savings, investments, maybe like even how to negotiate salary, understanding why people are paid what they are paid. So like basic economics as well. And we of course also do investments, because there's just so many investment options nowadays, whether it's like bonds, stocks, crypto even.
And currently I'm working on a story about passion and how you balance that against money, because oftentimes we think about money almost as a survival kind of tool, but it's also important to have a direction and to have a why when you aim for things in life, and particularly balancing that out with money. So oftentimes when you want to reach for your dreams, you can't, because money is a factor. And sometimes time is a factor, but you can buy time with money. So it's very important to understand what your passions are and what it takes to realize those passions. And it's good to put a number on it, which is what I've done. It was difficult as an artist to do that, but I forced myself to do it because once I clear and settle the money part of things, I can then focus on creating the art that I want to make with my life. So that's the big picture plans.
Right. Wow. Cannot wait for that project. Now, one thing, Wei Choon Goh, from us that is now almost nearing 40 for me, and you're already above 40, right? How can we delve ourselves to this FIRE movement? I mean, again, you stated that this should be before retirement, before 40, right? Now we're already almost past 40. Should we say, okay, if we begin now, maybe we can have a good life of retirement after 50 or 60? How can we start from the more older age, as me and Paul are? Where should we begin?
So I think the important thing is not to fixate on early retirement, but rather, some key principles in personal finance that will take you, to financial freedom. Like I think over like a long period of time, but it will still work. So there's stuff like living below your means. So for example, if you can afford like a Mercedes, maybe you want to buy like a Toyota instead. So just cutting down expenses, living simply, not chasing wealth, and then like investing consistently. So the money that you save, like put like a side of it every month into investments to make money for you, because at 40 years old, I think what you have is your labor. I think the thing you need to realize about labor that eventually expires. So you need to build your capital, which is something that is more tireless, something that continues to work for you well after you're gone. So I wouldn't stress too much on early retirement. I would just stress on attaining financial freedom in like a sustainable manner. I mean, at 40 years old, yes, it's a bit too late for FIRE, but I think we can still do traditional retirement, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's perfectly. So please don't feel terrible or anything.
No, it's okay, guys. I plan on living a very long time, so 60 will be early retirement for me anyway.
And life begins at 40, right? So we're beginning life right now.
Good, gentlemen, thank you so much for sharing your platform with us, guys. If you're interested, it's thewokesalaryman.com. Really appreciate your time and sharing your experiences and your knowledge about this, so we can learn more about it.
Can't wait for your projects too.
Can't wait for you guys to visit Jakarta or us to visit Singapore. Take care, guys.
Morning.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.